another one, I'm not sure how newsworthy this one was, but I like it. Senate Bill 478. This is called the Housing Opportunity Act. Essentially, what that does is again, you have to meet certain criteria, but the zoning cannot, the floor area. So again, the square footage, the size of your property, the size of your building rather, cannot be reduced to a 1-to-1. And in certain circumstances, then it goes up to 1.25. That is, it doesn't really seem like a lot. I mean, if you have, a small lot, then you theoretically would have a small square footage building. But it actually is. I mean, there are a lot of zones that are very restrictive and restrict the floor area, again, the square footage of the building, to 1/4 to 1 or half to 1, the size of the lot, right? So this is also beneficial and kind of plays into these other Senate bills that we're talking about as well, right? Another Senate bill that has been around for a little while, but I don't think has been as widely used or as commonly used or known about, is Senate Bill 35. This one I think is absolutely amazing if it works financially for a project. So Senate Bill 35 applies a ministerial process to a development project that's mixed income, right? So you don't necessarily have to have 100% affordable provided within your project to get incentives that are equivalent to a project that is 100% affordable, right? So there's, of course, it comes with a whole slew of requirements, but one of these requirements is that whatever your base density is, meaning the base amount of residential dwelling units that are allowed to be constructed on your site without entitlement, right? Whatever that number is, 50% of that number has to be provided at low income.
Right.
Okay. So and that's the minimum. But with that, you get a density bonus project, including waivers, development waivers, that is entirely ministerial and does not have to provide an environmental, a supporting environmental document. Again, incredibly beneficial because you can come into a property and you have to meet all these minimum thresholds, and one of those, by the way, is also prevailing wage, right, for construction, which I understand increases the cost of construction, but it also supports local hire. But you can increase the allowed floor area beyond 35% or whatever the restrictions might be.
Mm-hmm.
If you have basically a site that for example is limited to 45 feet in height, you can go beyond that to 60 feet.
Wow.
You can go maybe even more, right? I mean, it just has to correspond with the density bonus, the affordable that's being provided, right? It has to pass the smell test essentially, right? Does this added bonus justify, does it allow for the construction of the affordable units? But if you have other requirements like an open space, how much square footage of open area do you have to provide to your residents? If that requirement is too stringent, then you can ask for a waiver or an incentive to get past that and reduce that requirement. Parking is also, there's no parking requirement. So you can have a project that, let's say 100 units, right? Without any parking requirement. Those are the big ones. I mean, open space, density increase, by the way. You can also ask for an increase in density using SB 35. This one, I think probably hasn't been used because of the affordable requirement, but there's another thing that's associated with SB 35 that I don't think a lot of people know about, which is it ties into whatever the density is that's permitted under the general plan for your site. If that density is higher than what's permitted by the actual zoning, then you go with whatever's higher, right? So you go with the general plan as opposed to the zoning. And that in some cases can double the amount of density that's permitted just flat out by right on your site. There's another caveat to that one, because they always come with caveats. These Senate bills, is that if there's any existing units on your property, even one that have been rented out, then you're actually disqualified from using it. So the properties that some of my clients are looking at are vacant, or commercial properties, or owner occupied, to develop on.